there. This is Tanya Rooney, and I am recording a conversation today with Mr. Kenny Bedwell of STR Insights. I got introduced to him a couple of years ago when I was at an event. I was actually helping put the event on a little bit, and he was one of our awesome speakers. And because of that, we've kind of kindled a little friendship here within the short-term rental world. And so today I'm going to talk to Kenny. Kenny, will you tell some people like what kinds of stuff you do?
Well, first off, I want to start with like you left out an important detail when we first met, like what the heck I was wearing. Like I was definitely standing out from everyone else, right?
Yes, you absolutely were. You looked like Waldo that day, and I've noticed you've honed the stuff that you do, and you don't dress up like Waldo anymore on stage.
I don't. So yeah, for those listening, I dressed up like Waldo at this event, and that definitely got attention. I focus on helping people find short-term rental markets to invest in. And so it was kind of like, where's Waldo? Like, where's the market play? And so I wore that up on stage, but it definitely grabbed some attention. So, throw that out there to begin with. But yeah.
Yeah, it's totally awesome. So Kenny has this awesome business that I love referring people to, and it's because he helps people find good markets. Like there's tons of things in the short-term rental world that people are asking all the time, and short-term rental analysis is not my strong suit. So I find the people to say, here, follow this guy. He's got a pretty good YouTube channel. Well, actually, it's an amazing YouTube channel and a good short-term rental Facebook group and things like that. So people follow him for that stuff. So yeah, do you want to say also like how long you've been doing this stuff? Like why did you get into short-term rentals to begin with?
Yeah. So I got into short-term rentals in 2018, kind of like just to test it out. And I started doing really well. And so I got some more. And then my background is pretty boring. I worked at Citibank in the equities department. So I don't know, for those listening, it's like kind of like they start to dull over. People are just, okay, whatever. But basically, I did numbers. Okay, so I was doing math and statistics and stuff, and doing lots of numbers and finances and things. So that's my background. And then that started to really tie into short-term rentals with deal finding and finding good markets to invest in and with properties that had great cash flow and made money. So, and that's where I've transitioned to today, is full on. So I no longer work at Citi. I work in my full-time business, STR Insights, and also have my own properties.
That's awesome. Did you ever think that you were going to start a business? Like, I don't know what college Kenny looked like or even young Kenny.
No. I was not in the entrepreneurial mindset. Let me back up here. There are short-term rental, like you own property and stuff and you run a short-term rental. You're an entrepreneur, right? You're running a business, you're doing that. Then there's like being a startup entrepreneur, which is on a completely different level, which is like managing people, hiring, like doing all this stuff. Like I just, even today, I'm like, am I sure I still really wanted to do this? Like take this path. So it's a lot more drama than like, oh, a guest is upset about a bug in, the house. So, but anyway, both of them, I had no idea I was going to go, get short-term rentals. I knew I wanted to buy real estate in college, but I just didn't know that it was going to be short-term rentals. And then the business I started, no idea I wanted to do that. So anyway.
So it was kind of an accident.
Yeah. Yes, it was an accident. So
I feel like a lot of businesses can be accidental. Some people go to college for it and it's like, something they've dreamed of forever, but it doesn't actually mean that everybody's that way. And I feel like, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, for me, the reason that it's like it's an accident, but it was like purposeful accident too. Like being in a corporate job, I remember like going on, like, I take these like breaks. I'm just like walk around the building during the summertime. I live in Buffalo, so it snows. Can't do that in the wintertime. But I would walk around the building. It's a big corporate, complex. And I'd walk around the building and I'm like, I have got to leave this place. I cannot be here. Like it just drove me nuts, like to a point of like obsession. Like I cannot do this anymore. How can I get out of this? What do I have to do? Who do I have to kill? I'm just kidding. Who do I have to be? Like, and then like it's like real estate popped up, and then this other opportunity, and the real passion. So that obviously like was stirring something in me. But the real thing that got me was I went to a mastermind event. There's 10 people there. And I had taken time off work. It was at the beach in Gulf Shores, the middle of winter. It was like April or something like that. And I remember leaving, and everybody else was like they had their own businesses. They were either in real estate or had other things. And everybody else was like, oh, we're going to stay and look at some properties. And I couldn't stay and look at properties because I only had a certain amount of time off. And it really ate me. Like I even to this day, I still felt when I felt at that time. And I told myself, I'm going to leave, in like 5 years. 2 years later, I left. Like I sped that process up. But like it started at that point. Like for me, like going, I've got to figure this out. And it wasn't, I'm going to start a tech company or whatever. But it was like, that was the avenue I ended up taking to get to where I am today. But that passion and that burning desire, really, that's where it started. And even with short-term rentals, a lot of people get in and they think they just want to make money, and that's great. But like, why? What's your why? Why are you doing this? If you don't have any passion, you don't have any, you don't have that like clear vision, you're not going to obtain it, or it's just going to be really, really slow progress and growth. And so you're like, well, how do I get that? It's like, you need to have a why. It's like, I want to do it for my family, but why for your family? Like, what's the real goal? You got to see it. And when you see it, stuff starts to happen. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have this moment of your soul feels like it's dying a little bit. I mean, it's weird to say it that way, but it's true. Like I used to have those moments as well. And it's funny to hear that you talk about, you were in this big, huge corporate building and you're just like, everything, like you said, your soul was dying in there and it knew. So it was leading you to something else, which is so fantastic. And I love that you were at a mastermind because I feel like masterminds are a place for us to just it sets something on fire, and it's whether or not you actually follow through with those feelings. I don't feel like everybody does, but if you follow through with some of those feelings, man, there's some cool magic that can happen. And clearly that happened with you.
Yeah. Law of attraction. Right. And and what I mean by that is like being surrounded by other individuals doing and accomplishing what you want to do makes you want to do that. And it just you just do it. You know what I mean? I think that's been a huge influence. Like when I was in, at City, I kid you not, I was in an office with no windows. It was it was a glorified closet. Like it was pretty big, but there were 3 of us in there. A lot of empty chairs, but no window. There's just a door. It's like, what am I doing in here? You know what I mean? Sure, I'm good at what I do. And everyone's like, good job, buddy. Let's have a pizza party. But the reality is that's not moving the needle for me. And other people, if you want to play it safe, and all that, that's fine. But once I started down the path of being an entrepreneur, business owner, I was like, I control my own destiny. It's in my hands. And it's kind of scary. At first I was like, am I going to be able to do this? How's this work? Scary. Even to this day, I'm like, well, what if something happens? What if this happens? But I go, no, I'm in control of my own destiny. And I tell people all the time, and people look at me weird, like what? I'm like, I will never work for someone again. Ever.
Yes.
I can't. It'll drive me up a wall. And it's not because I don't like working with people. I love working with people. I've got a great team. But it's I want to take things and I want to be to another level, and I want to be in control of my own destiny and not relying upon, somebody giving out orders who doesn't know what they're doing or doesn't appreciate, what I want, how I believe we should get there. So, anyway, that was my big, kind of aha moment is sitting in the, being in Gulf Shores, looking out the beach and just telling everybody why they stay. And then going back and sitting in this windowless office going what am I doing?
Well, I'm really personally happy that you decided your soul was done dying at that point. And that you started doing what you did, because obviously you've helped me with a lot of things too. So then
I started dressing with Waldo, and it just went downhill from there.
No, not at all. So this is a great segue, because I heard you say something when you were talking just a second ago about you pretty much alluded to some self-limiting beliefs. And I like to point out to people that business owners have self-limiting beliefs, like every single one of us. Even Grant Cardone on the top of his mountain, he still has self-limiting beliefs. What kinds of things, like, do you have a top 3 or a couple of them that you've really struggled with over the years and you've gotten over, obviously?
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't think anyone ever gets fully over self-limiting beliefs. I think we kind of like shatter through certain ceilings of like beliefs. Like, it's like, okay, well, I accomplished this. Like, obviously, like I can do it. But then, like, well, I don't know about this next level. You know, it's like next.
New ones pop up like dandelions.
Right. It's the same thing like purchasing, right? Like, I talk to people all the time. They're like, well, I'm going to get 10 properties, or I'm going to be at $250,000. Like, you don't want 10 properties at $250K. Like, each. Like, you want to grow, you want to expand, you need to push it. And it's a self-limiting belief there. I mean, that's smaller. But for me, especially in my business, it's oh my gosh, there's an actual term for it. I just learned it recently. I guess I forgot it, so I didn't really learn it. But it's feeling fake. It's feeling like you're fake. Like, so basically, like, sometimes I'll go like, a lot of people look to me like, what if they see me as a fraud?
Imposter syndrome.
But like, but yeah, imposter syndrome. That's what it is. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that's real. That's very real. And I feel like, especially someone who provides the type of services and consulting that I do, that's a nightmare for me. It keeps me up at night. In fact, the other night, I have clients, I help them find properties, and I found a property for someone and we really got excited about it. He got it under contract. It looks like a really good deal. And I literally woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, what if it isn't? And I've helped tons of people find properties that do really well. I track it, I make sure, but like every property is unique. Every market's different. And there's always this thought like, what if it doesn't work? What if he doesn't make any money, he gets pissed at you, and just publicly tells everyone you're a fraud. Like, that's real. Yeah. That happens to me a lot. And it's something I have to constantly like fight, and tell myself, no, like, I know what I'm doing and I have a specific way of doing it. And that helps, and this works. It's proven to work. And so I believe over time, as I get more and more experience and, just through the experience, I think that that'll be like less and less, but still, as I grow and I take on more things, it'll still creep up on me. And so, there's a lot of variables in that, in terms of like, they look at personality and all these things that impacts me. And I think it'll always stay with me, but that's very real. And I deal with that all.
I think that's a really great example, because I think every business owner, I think some people maybe that are really new to the game, they just think, oh, this isn't going to be a thing anymore. But I agree that we shatter these ceilings of, okay, here's this level that I was able to figure this out, and now I'm going a next level up. And like, once you shatter through it, you just have a new one that kind of creeps up. Like I said, they're like dandelions. They just kind of keep creeping up, and they creep up for different reasons too, like clients or somebody makes one comment and it just kind of makes you go into this downward spiral that you're like, oh no, I thought I was over this, but sometimes it's a little tippy.
You work with a lot of, so like I deal with a lot of very, very intelligent people. I help a lot of intelligent people. So like a lot of my clients are physicians. A lot of my clients are very successful W-2 income earners. And I mean, some are like really successful. Like, they make stupid amounts for their W-2. And I'm like, they're coming to me asking me for advice. And I'm like, I never saw, my W, I, only worked for like 5 years after graduation in terms of W-2. Like, I never saw that kind of level of success in my W-2. And it's like my boss's boss coming to me and asking me about, short-term rental deals, where you should invest and how to invest. And he's just like, Kenny, just like, help me. Like, he's like, I could tell they're dependent upon every word I say. And that's a lot of pressure. That's a ton of pressure to really help. And, you feel like you're like, am I actually qualified to help this person? Like, I don't feel like, I feel like they're smarter than me. Like, what's the, where's the disconnect here? Like, what? And so, but like I said, like to kind of answer part of your question though, you said it, how do I get over that? It's like through the experience, you have to take the moment and realize, like, sometimes I'll watch recordings of myself talking. I know it sounds like maybe vain. I don't want to, it's not that way. But like, it's not why I do it. But like, I do it because I want to go like, does it actually look like I know what I'm talking about? You know, like, am I just like,
How do you determine? No, but Kenny, how on earth could you determine if you know what you're talking about from a video? Do you really?
Yeah.
All right.
I could see
So you're determining if you are speaking with enough conviction and enough passion on a video.
I see it 100%. So when I see where I'm like, man, that's just right. You know what I mean? Like I felt that. Mm-hmm. That's it right there. You know what I mean? Now, when I talk to people, it's not I'm passionately into it or whatever, but like that reaffirms to me that, yeah, I know what I'm talking about, you know? Yeah. And like, I feel like that imposter syndrome like kind of go away and I like can push on and stuff. And so sometimes I have to do that, you know, I know we're like kind of opening the kimono here and like revealing things, but it's true. Like it's very real because I deal with a lot of very intelligent people and they never challenge me. They always, you know, when I talk to people, it's always, you know, they see me as like the thought leader or whatever, but it's intimidating. It's scary. Yeah. It's like, well, I hope I'm right. You know? But
you got to give yourself credit that you've put in a lot of reps. You've put in more reps than a lot of people would. And even though you were in corporate for 5 years, but now you're doing this and you've been doing this for what, like you're on year 6 then? I think you said 2018. So you've been putting in reps ever since. And you also like took advantage of something that was really, really like you were already really good at. And then you just like heightened it. And the fact that you're doing this kind of stuff every single day is the reason people look to you and the reason you can like feel comfortable telling people these things. Yeah. So, it's awesome. Okay. So I wanted to change gears and talk about, so I'm big on people like leaning into their superpower. Do you know what your superpower is?
So I'm going to warn you, and maybe that's my superpower. I give people warnings. I don't personally believe I'm that different from everybody else. Like I'm not smarter than everyone else. I don't like, I don't have, this ineptability, but I have a skill. I have a trained skill of being able to find deals, like profitable properties. I know what to look for in the data. I know what to target. Like I have so much, like you said, repetition, the reps from it, that it's like when I sit down with someone and they're like, how do I do this? And I know what questions to ask them. I know exactly what to look for. And then based off that, the way my mind works, I'm able to go, you should look here. And this is exactly what you should look for. And that, like, I don't know if that's necessarily a superpower, but just a skill. And I mean, a skill to like make money. I guess that's a superpower. I don't know how you want to say like what you see there, but like that's like, I guess that's like it. You know, like I said, like I tell people all the time, like, you know, if I can do it, you can do it too, because I'm like not that smart. Like, and I'm not trying to like but like it's like seriously, I'm really not that special in terms of what I bring to the table. But I've done it so many times in so many different markets and so many different places that I know exactly what to look for, and I can do it faster and quicker than anybody else out there. And so to me, like that's the skill. That's what I bring to the table, and that's I guess the superpower. I don't know if that's really it. Other superpower would be like coming up with good costumes, you know, like the other idea I was going to do was come up in a Rambo, like help you hunt for deals. Like I was going to wear like a Rambo camo thing, but
I feel like just you're talking. Actually, I think your superpower is being determined and then breaking things down for people in bite-sized chunks, because you've talked a lot about being able to like I mean, it's kind of like unarming somebody who's like the CEO or a physician that makes, a few $100,000 a year or $1 million a year. Like, you make people feel comfortable enough to even have the conversation with you. And not everybody can do stuff like that. Like, it's true that anybody can buy real estate. I've seen some pretty unintelligent people figure it out. And I've seen people that are really, really smart stumble on it. And I think it's like breaking it down into bite-sized chunks to be like, here, like, this is totally a thing. Like, I feel like you're really good at empowering people so that they know, like, there's ways to find this information. Like, you don't have to rely on your own skill. Like, you could rely on a person like Kenny or Kenny's team to actually do this stuff for you, because they do it all the time. And that's the reason that you have as many clients as you do, because people know they can come to somebody. Like, that's what I do. Like, if I don't know how to do a certain thing in my business, I just go find somebody who does. Like, that's kind of a part of the community. So you're a great person, though, that people would have in their community. You're a great person to have on your team, like on my team, to help me be like, am I really going to make money doing this kind of thing? Because I've had those same moments where I'm like, oh, crud, am I going to lose money? Like, how on earth is this possibly going to make money? And I would utilize a person like you to hop on the phone and be like, can you help me, like, have some confidence in what I'm actually going to do next? So I feel like you're pretty good at making people feel comfortable, because you did it for me. Like, sometimes in the end, it doesn't even matter. Like, it matters that I make money, but it doesn't matter. Like, I need confidence in how I talk to people about like a deal, or if I'm making sure I'm raising money and stuff like that. So it's interesting.
And I think too, as I've my approach has changed, a lot of people just want answers. Mm-hmm. I get on calls all the time, every single call. I just want to know where to go. Uh-huh. And I'm like, do you want, and I'll ask this, I said, do you just want to know where to go, or do you want to know how to figure that out for yourself?
That's a great way to ask.
Yeah. And they're like, well, and I'm like, well, what if I tell you and there's nothing, no properties for sale in that market, or there's nothing that you want there? Like, what are you going to do? Well, we'll probably have to have another conversation, right? And they're like, yeah, probably. And I'm like, let's skip that and let me teach you how to do it on your own. Uh-huh. And so we've done a lot, like we've started doing a lot more consulting that way when teaching people, because and I call it, it's the teach a man to fish analogy. And like I've realized, going back to, my downplaying myself again, it's not about, it's not about what I know, it's how I do it. It's, and I've figured it out that it isn't rocket science. It's very, very simple, but it's the methodology. And then, like you said, I've really tried to break it down in bite-sized chunks for people. Like, even the person that's like, I hate Excel. I don't do technology. I get those people all the time. I don't do spreadsheets or whatever. And it's like, fine. You don't need spreadsheets. You don't need these things to find deals with the way I'm going to teach you. Sure, like, we will need to use some technology, but I'm going to show you how to do it that like anyone, a child, could do it. And so that's what I strive to be, though. Like, that's the ultimate goal. As I get better at this, is to be able to like basically teach a 5-year-old how to find profitable properties. And then maybe one day I could bring them up and be like, if a 5-year-old can do it, you can do it. And this is how.
This is your next marketing ploy, is going to be you YouTubing with a 5-year-old.
People just think it's so hard and they get so frustrated. And it's what you said. It's because of confidence. It has nothing to do with like their inept ability to. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's all about confidence. And so it's like, if a 5-year-old could do it, I'm really like exaggerating on this, but seriously, like, that's what I try to tell people. It's like, you can do this. You just need this set method that you feel confident in, and then you'll be able to pull the trigger. So,
yeah, you just need to learn the thing. I feel like, again, this is clearly one of your superpowers, even though that you don't recognize it quite yet. Is that being able to teach people, because it's not easy to teach people to have confidence in, like, you're teaching them to be confident in a process that they are just learning. Like, in the beginning pieces of owning a business, all of this stuff is really hard, because you're like, holy Hannah, how am I going to be able to do all of this? And like you learn, if you knew everything we knew, however many years you're into business. So I'm into business like 6 or 7 years now. You're in like that many years as well. If everybody knew what we knew, they wouldn't probably take the first step. So you just need to do these bite-sized chunks of like, now I'm going to learn how to do it this way. And then I'm going to learn this. And when you're confident, like I'm confident in a lot of processes that I have behind me, like shopping for deals. I'm confident in stuff like that. I'm confident in running my numbers. And if I wasn't, I couldn't be here without those kinds of confidence. So you're just helping people be confident with their first 5 steps, which are pretty important, like honestly.
Yeah, I love you said, like, just going back to like doing a business, right? Like STR Insights, like a software company, like it's the same thing. Like I had no idea when I started this, like marketing and like sales and like all it's like, I gotta learn, you start learning it and you really gotta take bite-sized chunks. It really is about bite-sized chunks. Like you're not gonna know everything. And you're gonna have to test a bunch of stuff. You're gonna have to invest into your own business and into these like little things to see like what's gonna hit and do well. And so for me, it's really been part of just like running a business and like a software company. Like it's been a learning opportunity from that side. Like I've learned a ton. Like if I could go back in time, now would I change anything I've done? Sure, absolutely. But I definitely would have sharpened my skills on the marketing side from the beginning. Like maybe in college, graduated in marketing instead of like economics, but
I feel like marketing it's like this crazy dark hole of so many things to learn and so many ways to do things. I think that might be the beauty of business is you can do all kinds of things the same as somebody else. And it doesn't mean you're going to be successful. It could mean you're better at it than other people. Like I'm sure there's 30 people out there that can teach people how to find a short-term rental deal really well, but you have a knack for doing it and people have followed you because of it, because you put it in a certain way for certain people to be like, yeah, okay, I can handle that. Like, and not everybody can do that. So that's, that it makes a pretty big difference. And that's why you've obviously seen some success because you've convinced enough people on your team to follow you. That's another thing. Yeah,
there we go.
We have to convince people to follow us. It's totally cool. So switching gears, I wanted to talk about community. So I'm really, really big on community. Like the reason that I do a lot of the stuff that I do is because of people that I found or that have found me have told me to do certain things. And then I felt confident doing them. And like those kinds of things. So I'm curious if you like, obviously you went to a mastermind to figure out like that you really wanted to quit your job and do all of that. But what kinds of community members have you utilized over the course of your business that have helped like push you up and like, just like, do you rely on your community to do things like that?
Absolutely. So I wouldn't have started my company if my mastermind hadn't told me to do it.
Yes, it's awesome.
Like I said, I'm not a startup person. That was not even on the forefront of my brain. It was very much, hey, I have this really cool idea. In a sense of like, the software that we created, I used it for myself. It wasn't meant to be something public. It was meant for, hey, I found a way to be able to find profitable short-term rental deals in markets that people are like talking about. And I shared it with other investors and they were like, holy crap, Kenny, this needs to be a public software. And I was like, why? Yeah, what? Like it wasn't from a selfish standpoint, but like, oh, there's already, there's other tools out there. Like this would just be competing and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, this is game changing. And then they used it and they were bragging about the results to me. And they're like, Kenny, you need to turn this into something. This has to. And I was like, well, where do I even begin? And they're just like, well, it's easy. You just do this. And I'm like, okay. Then you're just like, all right. Like you start getting that confidence. Like you were saying, like people are like, you need to do this. This is like game changing, like this they're talking about and seeing the excitement. And you're like, maybe I do have a good idea. Maybe it is worth something, and being surrounded by your community that tells you, that supports you. That I wouldn't have started this software company if the community hadn't told me you need to do it, So, and I think that's been that and everything I do, like any big step, I'm constantly talking to my community, my private community, I should say. And friends and those who I like, trust and stuff like that, and getting their thoughts and opinions on it, before I do it. And it's crazy. Like I have some other some other stuff I'm working on right now, like separate of, another business. We always have multiple businesses as entrepreneurs. And I'm working on something else, and I have a limited belief. Like, I'm like, do people actually invest in me with me on this, And I'm talking to people who I know personally, and they're like, I would invest in you. I'm like, really? Like, they're like, yeah, I would invest in you. And so like that means like, yes, there is demand for something and getting that. And so it's been really powerful for me working with my community, just like sharing thoughts and being open. I feel like a lot of people, I've seen this before, new people, especially who join some of my masterminds of men and other groups, they tend to keep their cards close to their vest when they join,
Yep.
And they're like, hey, I've got something really cool. I'll like show you snippets of it. What do you guys think? Everyone's like, why don't you just show us everything? Oh, well, I like someone might take it. It's like, no one's going to take it. You have to trust. You have to trust. If you don't trust your community, how are you expected to actually walk away and take their suggestions and apply it? And so, anyway, that's like, I've seen people really open up and transform, including myself, from just relying and opening up to a community. So,
yeah. And how uncomfortable is it the first time you tell somebody you lost money, you tell somebody like, this isn't working, or I'm struggling with this thing? Is it pretty hard?
Yeah, it is hard. It's really hard. I mean, I think in telling people like your faults, like, or like your mistakes, a lot of people don't do that. We don't tell people like for example, me, like, I bought land in the middle of Arizona and it's just sitting there, and it was like a very stupid investment. I mean, I'm not like losing a ton of money, but like it was a stupid investment because of all the stuff that goes into it. And I spent a lot of time trying to make it work, and it just like isn't going to work. And so like, and I'm not afraid anymore to tell people that I make mistakes, even in investing. And the more people are comfortable doing that, the more they'll learn and they'll get support from others. So.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, because it's true. You tell somebody you make mistakes, like people that we're attracted to, like on Instagram, we'll just go with social media, because that's honestly where people end up finding new people like that they follow. And it's because of people being vulnerable or like being relatable. Like, I know I make mistakes. Holy Hannah, it is a bummer and I hate admitting them, but I totally make mistakes. And I feel like when I say that I made mistakes, people like moth to a flame more, I guess, because it's like, oh, cool, this person's like a human being. They're not a robot. They're not like the perfect little box that we all think that they might be. And that's kind of the point of like asking about, or the point of today was to ask you about like some of your limiting beliefs and stuff, because business owners all have this. We should talk about it more. I don't know that we necessarily talk about it enough, but within masterminds we do. We'll talk about like, shoot, I just screwed this big, huge thing up and I need help digging out. I feel like when you ask people, they'll actually help. Like, so many business owners are willing to help. If you got a couple of old school guys that maybe started, or girls that started in the 90s, you'll hear some lessons that they learned. Right. And that's the reason I joined masterminds, is like, I want to shorten the curve. I want them to tell me how to not make that mistake. So, okay, I want to ask kind of a random question. This doesn't have to be about business or anything. It could be personal. It could be global, big or small. If you could fix one thing, what would it be?
If I could fix one thing, Sure. Well, I think one of the issues I'm dealing with now, going into too many details, but I think it's understanding how to identify the right people to work with.
Oh. Yeah. Personally, like, you talking about employees, or are you talking about like
I've got a number of examples. It could be employees. It could be clients even. I think that's really big. I've gotten better at that recently, though. I mean, I've had some really stinker clients, ones who are just like, they're afraid to pull the trigger. There's just all these things, I've dealt with. It's just like, man, these people, they give you headache. And I've got some really amazing ones. So it's like learning from that, like knowing, okay, well, what are the attributes of the amazing clients, and how do I target those type of people and only work with those people, versus staying away from these type of attributes of these clients. And then employees too, like, hey, we want people who are like this, who have this type of mindset. And really, because you can't just ask someone, hey, do you have this type of mindset? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, cool, let's go. It's
They'll
like,
always agree.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I do that. I show up on time every time.
Like understanding and looking for certain qualities in people. I mean, it's all over the board, the way it's, like I said, on the client side, also employee side, or partnering with people and knowing if they're going to be good business partners, things like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be an amazing skill to have.
Be a pretty cool easy button.
Yeah, exactly. That would save me a lot of time. So
yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and then we're just about to wrap up here, and I have a really big community. I really appreciate the community that I've built and the people that help me out with what we need. I'm curious, what one thing are you looking for right now that somebody in my community could connect you to, like in some way, shape, or form? Are you looking for a person, looking for a thing, any kind of connection?
Oh yeah, I forgot you asked me this question. They came prepared. I mean, I'm always looking for people who, in the short-term rental space, I'm looking for more people who want to learn how to consult.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So, our consulting business, obviously I've been talking about it a lot, but it's really growing, and I've got one other consultant, but the problem is hiring, even in, I would say just consulting, but even someone in marketing who understands our space. I have found that people who truly are passionate about short-term rentals make really, really good employees, or help. I wouldn't even say you have to be employed, partnerships with, in terms of consulting other clients. Obviously you need experience there, but marketing or sales. It was really funny. I hired 2 recruiters to hire someone for sales. I'm like, look, I need the best closer. And so I hired these recruiters, everyone recommended them. I hired these 2 closers. They were really good. We interviewed them in terms of the way they close and everything. Mm-hmm. They couldn't do it. They couldn't hack it out. They only lasted one lasted a week, the other one lasted 2 weeks. I go and I found this girl through my mastermind. She's 23 years old. And she has no closing experience whatsoever. And she's at the mastermind because she was invited for free from someone. And she's hungry. She's talking to me not about a job, but just wanting to learn how to get properties and get into space. And then all of a sudden, a week later, somebody calls me and says, hey, she's looking for a job. You got anything with what you guys do? And I talked to her. Her background happened to be some sales. And I interviewed her. And then we start having her on there, and she all of a sudden starts selling people, in our program, and helping people. And I'm she's doing way better. She has 0 training, and she's very raw talent, and she's doing way better than these professionals were, because she was all in, and she's passionate about the short-term rental space. And it's finding people who are passionate about what we do and wanting to work. Those are people I want to work with. It doesn't have to be specifically marketing or consulting or whatever, but it's even deals, working with people, investors and stuff. It's I want to work with people who are passionate about what we do. So I don't know. That's a roundabout way of saying connections with people who want to work, not just buy properties, but do other types of things. So.
Oh, no, that's totally awesome. I would say anybody that's listening, if you know somebody like this, or if you are somebody like this, you're going to send me an email, and I'm going to connect you with Kenny in some way, shape, or form, because I feel the best people I've ever worked with are typically word of mouth people. It's somebody saying, oh, this person would be perfect for that. So I wanted to at least give a chance for something like that to happen. And if it does happen, I totally want to know, because I love seeing the connections that we make. I love being able to hear some of your problems, any of my friends' problems, and being well, I know this person that knows this thing really, really well. How about I connect you and you have a good conversation? And it's pretty awesome. So, where can people find you to chat more about things?
Yeah, I mean, I typically just recommend people go follow me on Instagram at Kenny Bedwell, or you can join my Facebook group, the STR Data Host. So I post in both of those, Instagram a little bit more, reels and stuff about all kinds of things data related to short-term rentals. Facebook group is more community of conversations and things like that. So those are 2 great places to get started. And then feel free to just DM me, I guess. So
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time. I loved getting to hear about your story. Like that, I didn't know you worked for a big bank. It doesn't surprise me because you are a data guy.
yeah,
I love being able to tell people, well, there's this data guy that I know. Like data isn't like analysis is not my thing. So I probably tell somebody about you at least 3 times a month. I'm like, well, follow this guy because I don't like to like I don't want people to
that's
ask
where my
me.
followers are coming from. All right, thank you. All right.
It's like, I don't want to analyze any properties for you. I don't know how to find your property. I know what I want. But if you really need to learn, you need to go to this guy because he actually knows what he's talking about. And again, you show it through the passion of your work. So I appreciate having a guy like you in my community because
Thank you.
obviously I get to take advantage of it. It's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I appreciate it. And yeah, hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya.
All right. Bye.